Firedancer that got me really across the line, made me all in on Solana, where I'm now 90% of my crypto allocation, which is 100% of my liquid net worth, is in Solana. Listen, this is probably the last chance you're going to get to buy these big layer ones before we hit the banana zone. This space going from 2.5 trillion in crypto to 100 trillion by, let's say, 2032 is going to be the biggest, largest wealth accumulation in history, and I want everybody to come along for the ride.
Crypto investor Raoul Pal, on his latest episode of The Journeyman, dives into some eye-opening predictions about Solana and the intriguing banana zone. He'll explain why he believes Solana is set to lead the next big crypto wave, share his thoughts on the market's potential for massive growth, and reveal why he's personally all in on Solana. If you're into stocks or crypto, you won't want to miss this recent update. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel for the latest updates, and let's jump right in.
And the point of this video to say, when everyone's saying, when is the banana zone? I'm going to show you that I think it's coming, and I think Solana is going to lead it. And as I've urged with you, patience is required. These things don't come instantaneously, but when they come, they can be life-changing. You see, we're at that point in the 4-year cycle, just ahead of the US election, where things get very exciting. And often around the halving period, there is a pause. It's often global liquidity has paused, which has happened recently. But on a forward-looking basis, as I've explained to you in other videos, liquidity is about to surge. Liquidity is about to surge while some other very interesting things are going on. You see, Solana had some very big announcements. If you remember, there were two things that struck me about Solana that I really liked, outside of the fact that there's a lot of developers building on it. It's a great network. They've got the right narrative. They're focused on kind of retail mass adoption. And we've obviously seen meme coins. But there were two big things there that really got me interested. One was NFT compression, which means NFTs can be opened up for different use cases, whether it's ticketing, whatever it is, even derivative contracts. Compressed NFTs allowed massive scale NFTs at low cost. Then it was Firedancer that got me really across the line, made me all in on Solana, where I'm now 90% of my crypto allocation, which is 100% of my liquid net worth, is in Solana, which may be foolish to some of you, but I think that market concentration is the right way of doing things when you've got everything correlated because of the everything code. So Solana was my chosen bet because it started breaking out versus Bitcoin and versus Ethereum back in about October last year. That made me pull the final trigger to say, yes, this is going to be the chosen one of this cycle of the larger tokens. But then this week, we had more news. One, ZK compression. ZK compression, zero knowledge compression, is what it's doing is allowing the Solana chain to scale massively. Okay, that's really important. And when that goes hand in hand with Firedancer, which was the other big one, Firedancer allows a TPS that's unparalleled, up to 1 million TPS. Once you put 1 million TPS with compressed NFTs and then a whole compressed chain, what you've got is the most scalable, fastest blockchain in the world. And that, to me, is important for mass adoption. The next phase of that was Blink. Blink was a step towards mass adoption, where you can embed a code and it can appear on any Web2 site, where you can create transactions in Solana. There's something massively empowering because it means any website can do that now. So you kind of don't need that embedding a new wallet for every experience or driving them to a different landing page to do something. You can do it straight on social media itself or on a third-party website. So you're creating more and more ways for people to use this ecosystem. Look, I think it's very, very powerful. Anyway, let's look at the charts, because the charts tell the story to say, listen, this is probably the last chance you're going to get to buy these big layer ones before we hit the banana zone. So this is now the start of the banana, and it should continue all into next year and through at least early next year. Now, obviously, we will see corrections en route. Obviously, I'm not always right, but let me show you what's in my head. So if I share my screen, the Solana chart is textbook perfect wedge pattern. I put this on social media. I've talked about it. It's absolutely perfect. So that was the final retest. We've had 3 tests of the lower trend line, 3 tests of the upper trend line. That is about, for me, these patterns have the highest probability of success of all patterns. Continuation, wedges, triangles, whatever you want to call them. I don't get bogged down the exact methodology, pennants. I just say everything looks like a wedge is a wedge. For me, that's a wedge. When it breaks the top, it accelerates. But now from the bottom part, this gets really interesting. Now, what is also interesting is at Global Macro Investor, we look at the volatility of assets and see when they get to very low vol assets, often they reverse and go to higher volatility. In crypto, generally, low volatility is downtrending markets and high volatility is uptrending markets. So every time that Solana has got down to this 50 level in 30-day historic volatility, it's tended to reverse. This is exactly what happened yesterday. And the last 5 times it's done this, from this level, it did 109% in December in 2 months, 32% in 2 months in June, August 57% in 2 months, September 527% in 3 months, February 78% in 3 months. So it's a very powerful signal that I really, really like. Now, the same signal was actually seen on Bitcoin. The good thing about Bitcoin is we've got a longer price history. So every time we've got somewhere close to the 20% volatility, Bitcoin more mature, less volatile, has bounced massively. And again, if you look at the numbers, these bounces have led 83%, 85%, 200%, 100%, 85%, 71%. These are bloody good signals. Now, nothing is fallible, or nothing is infallible, but it puts probability on your side. The other thing that I look for is continued strength from a leader versus others. And this is crucial that you understand this is Solana versus Bitcoin. It has stair-stepped higher and higher and higher. You can see when I bought Solana, when it broke out versus Bitcoin and Ethereum, I'll show you in a sec, back in September, October last year, and then it stair-steps higher. So we're about to explode through the next level. So owning Solana should outperform owning Bitcoin. And here's the same chart versus ETH. Very similar kind of pattern. We expect once we get that kind of 0.055 level in Sol ETH, even with the ETH ETF, we should see Solana outperform. Now, we also had the news today that Van Eck have filed for a Solana ETF. That doesn't mean it's going to get approved. Some of these people have filed for years in advance. They just want to get in, get some feedback from the SEC. But we know people are going to want to go for a Solana NFT. ETH first. By the time you're watching this, within a week, we should have an ETH ETF, which should start bringing new capital flows into crypto land, and it will flow out the risk curve as always. So it goes into ETH, it'll spread into Solana, and then it will spread down the risk curve, and things like WIF or whatever it is will outperform. That's not a trade rag, but just that's usually how it works. So I think we've got everything in place for Solana and Bitcoin. Solana to outperform ETH and Bitcoin. Also, we're about to see Ethereum break out against Bitcoin. This is an important thing. Something I've been talking about waiting for happen. It's a beautiful chart pattern. It should get to the top of the range, and then maybe it breaks out of the top of the range, and ETH gains further ground against Bitcoin and puts it a new all-time high. That has been my base case for several years now, and I think it's going to be proven out. But let's see. Right now, ETH is not my main bet. My ETH is actually all in Xcopy, Artem, Beeple NFTs. So my actual liquid tokens, Solana, because Solana is going to outperform both ETH and Bitcoin. Now, when Bitcoin starts outperforming ETH and Solana outperforms the others, that's a classic marker of altcoin season starting. Here is the prior altcoin season versus this one. It's been almost immaculate in its perfection. Now, don't expect this to play out perfectly, but look what lies ahead. The banana zone. The banana zone is when all sorts of crazy stuff starts happening. Now, it's suggesting here that we can see a 10x in the entire market cap of altcoins X Ethereum. Okay, that's a lot. That's a huge move. Some of these things are going to move massively. Presidential election years. It's hitting your X feed right now. You can see it's warming up. I'm filming this ahead of the presidential debate. This is the time when Bitcoin seasonally is extremely strong. So these summer months, June, July, August, then we get that kind of chop around that ahead of the election where people don't know what it means and who's going to be taxed and whatever. So people reduce risk a bit. And then after the election, whoever wins, the market continues the banana zone. Now, I think Solana outperforms. I think there's going to be other coins that outperform Solana, particularly big layer ones. There's people on Twitter keep shilling me coins. And I say, well, show me the chart that's outperforming Solana and I'll listen to you. Now, a small meme coin doesn't really count, but I do think WIF has a decent chance of outperforming Solana. Now, I won't put my main money in WIF. Why? Don't fuck this up rules. Says don't do that. But there are going to be opportunities to be had. This space going from 2.5 trillion in crypto to 100 trillion by, let's say, 2032 is going to be the biggest, largest wealth accumulation in history. And I want everybody to come along for the ride. It won't be easy. You will fuck it up at some point. And so will I. But we'll do our best to make it there in one piece and to have made a ton of money.
If you found this video insightful, please like and subscribe for more updates. Share your thoughts in the comments below.